I call this Midsummer Meadow, if I may. When the morning sun began to consume Mother Nature's glistening sheen away from the fog, the hunter stumbled into the immaculate liquidation. A crystal-clear spring, water-fed pool surrounded him, immersed him, washed him clean. He had fallen to his knees, his hands as blue as the water was. It was still colder to drink. And from that pond, the glisten, the shine, a movement, a flurry, a small creature, something caught his eye. Something was on the other side. That water, that cat-like emotion that steps upon your spirit. It's the shadow that has form. You can almost touch and vanish. What was it? He looks. It seemed to be a lovely, tall, tan deer. He was curious. He walked slowly around, circumventing the still waters. Waited for the deer. It was on its knees. Waited for it to bolt, to jump into the dense forest primeval, of all those things unknown. Being but not the bulge is a budge of his chest. Why did it allow me so close, he thought. What is this? This is not normal. Is this real? Carefully, clothes-clad cleats, they clambered closer to the concealed. That there were no ones there to see their fear, see that in the deer, in the grass, and the fact that this creature was not so smooth. He saw woman, unrobed lay. She raised her head slowly, regal, like a deer, with its doe eyes, and stood straight through his soul. She did not speak, but he somehow felt that she wanted him to approach. She was curled on her side, but now shamelessly rolled onto her back. The hunter leaves his mind's eye, for he can't believe as of this miracle of sight. It ran through his heart. His eyes wandered over the pristine body of the young woman. Young, yet an old soul, perhaps? Hard to say. But beautiful, bemused, wonderful she was. He looked at her, and she looked at him as though he was familiar. He would have remembered seeing this one, this beauty before. He couldn't have met this one, but how did she know him? And she laid as she could call his name. It only came through the yearning that was in her eyes. Still speechless, she opened herself to him. The only sounds were those of the birds that gathered in the surrounding trees to celebrate the sounds of a seemingly fleshly piston meeting a well-lubricated but hot cylinder. But he was drunken in the carnal embrace. And as it had been years since his growing excitement raged through his body thus, it now seemed ageless. And his body had the youthful zeal he had not known in he didn't know how long. But he fell to his knees, and his hand mixed with that old hunger back to him, tasted the abundance. It nourished him, this sweet one, this wine. It was strangely familiar, though. These grapes he had not plucked from the vine, but how familiar to his palate. He knew somehow this is not real, but it is real. As if reading his mind, the woman expressed joy, is harmonizing with the sounds of those birds singing out their songs of love, even without words, so they were all over the body of the man against her nakedness, and without guidance, he had somehow the state of mind of the young woman, knew her wishes, anticipated her desires, as though strings guided him, tender strings to his heart. He was at home, and he knew something, perhaps a previous life, perhaps countless lives. The heat surrounded him, as it repeatedly, as in the past, he returned to where he started, drawing, condensing, contracting, congealing, revealing. This was her. It must have been her, that soulmate whose name he no longer knew. For he was now in that circle, and he was one with her destiny that had been twined with him before. Tears welled in the eyes of the girl. He told her, "I've missed you. Where have you been? It's been oceans of time, deeper than any deep part of these woods. And now I'm strong, hard, resolute, true again." Said, "I must know. Who are you, my dear?" She was the mother country. She was both beginning, middle, and the end. She was the great-grandmother of all life and all generations of their grandmothers. And he, the essence of what was good. And this muse, she said she was, upon a time, upon a life lived hard and true, selfless, would present herself as a gift, a rare gift, to a man who lived by what was right all of his days, and with him she would lay, and the child that would be birthed would be the future. And the future, my friends, is now. Fade out.